There's a lot of layers to this question. Are we assuming KD's going to New York already?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the assumption.
All right. I think, I think he would make tremendous teammates with both of these guys. I personally, and I don't think it's going to happen, I would love to see him back with LeBron. I would love to see Kyrie head out to L.A., LeBron and him reunite, Kyrie learning some from trying to lead a team on his own and realizing the challenges that come with it. Again, I don't think this is going to happen. I think, if anything, Kyrie would go play with Kevin Durant. But I would love to see part 2 of LeBron and Kyrie, how that would work and how Kyrie then could help LeBron do what he wants to do, achieve his goals, and try and bring a championship to the Lakers.
I have just seen this, too, because I grew up in a family of all basketball players. And my brother was my biggest role model. I mean, he's a great basketball player. In high school, best player in the state, made All-American, McDonald's Dream Team, could have gone anywhere in the country to play basketball. Everyone, I'm 7 years younger than him, everyone expected me to follow in my brother's footsteps and do everything just like him, be like him. But, man, I was a great high school basketball player. But underneath all that, I was waiting to get away from that because I wasn't like him. I didn't have the same personality. How I approached the game was different. Man, he wanted to listen to some nice little jazz and stuff before the game. I need some hardcore rap. Tupac, Biggie, let's go get it done. I always played with a lot of energy and a lot of intensity. He's a very quiet guy, a guy that likes to think and everything. And when I was able to get away from that, I felt the freedom to be able to be myself. Now, Kyrie Irving is, regardless of what you think is best, a lot of times we do what we personally think is best. And I don't think him going to be with LeBron James and being that little brother again, once you think yourself to be that, I want to be a big brother, and that's what he thought he was going to be there in Boston, that those young guys rejected, and he wasn't very good at it, I just don't see him going to be with LeBron again, because then even if they win, you know what they're going to say? He needs LeBron to be able to win. And I just believe that is a huge hurdle to be able to overcome. And at this stage of LeBron's career, LeBron is handling the ball more than ever. So you're talking about a conflict in styles. And I just know the reason why I played football, not only because I was good at it, one of it was I wanted to get away from my brother. But I wanted to get away from his legacy and build my own legacy.
So I appreciate that story totally, and I think it's really interesting in looking at it here. But the biggest difference I would draw is, how would you feel if your decision to play football was a bad one? If you didn't become Chris Carter, the Hall of Famer, if you didn't, with respect to...
it was always going to be the best one, regardless of what my stats said, because it's what I wanted to do.
Right, but you...
And I would have made myself believe, just like people do, even though they don't have the results. You know something? This was the right decision. Forget the results. Forget the money. Because it's what I wanted to do.
That would make me think that Kyrie would stay in Boston.
Well, that's exactly where I was going to go.
I'm going to dig into this.
We are going to find out. Or go to Brooklyn. Yeah. Or go somewhere where he can still be the leading man. If Kyrie is, I'm sure, got very upset. A lot of things said after the Celtics got knocked out of the playoffs, where a lot of people were echoing what we said on the show, which is Kyrie appears to be overqualified for that secondary role, but not yet or maybe ever qualified for that leading role. Kyrie may not publicly say that, might not like that that's the narrative. But if he chooses either of these options, his decisions will speak for themselves. And so I think Kyrie might know at this point, I'm not the guy that is best suited to not only have to be a great player, but also have to do all the other maintenance things, all the other things as far as building up the young guys and building up and holding the team together, being the spokesman for the team. And the issue with he and KD playing, aside from the fact that basketball-wise, they are so similar as far as isolation players. I think the fit's better with LeBron. Kyrie averaged the most shots he ever averaged in his career was his final year with LeBron. It wasn't with Boston. It wasn't before LeBron got there. The year Kyrie got his highest usage, most shots per game, was his final year with LeBron. So LeBron had found a way to share with him, and that team's offense was extraordinary. But the other element of it, and one that Jenna's talked to me about off the air, is if these two guys come together, these two guys were the two most drama-filled individuals in the NBA off the court all year separately.
Meaning KD and Kyrie.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. KD and Kyrie, as far as their own almost melancholy attitude and feeling of, isn't there something bigger than this, greater than this? And if they come together and come together in New York City, that could be, to me, a recipe for even more drama than playing with LeBron naturally brings you.
And I also am fascinated by Kyrie. I think none of us truly understand what any player is thinking, and that could change throughout the course of a regular season, throughout the course of a playoffs now as they have some time before free agency. But Kyrie has expressed the fact that he doesn't like the fact that people are talking about where he's going to go or think that they know what decision he's going to make. And I wonder with him, he is so deep and thoughtful in the decisions that he's intricate in how he looks at things. He, I would expect, may surprise all of us. He may entirely flip the script and do something way different just because he wants to prove that he is making his own decisions and has the authority to do so.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because the questions about him matching up with LeBron or KD. Now, not because you cover the team, but I want you to make a case for Kyrie in doing something surprising. Vegas is saying right now the surprise would be the Brooklyn Nets. You covering the Nets, understanding how they play, knowing their culture. I want you to make a case for Kyrie why he should choose the Nets over New York City with KD or potentially going with LeBron.
This is easy for me because I'm biased, because I am in it every single day and understand the culture, the way it's been built from Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson. But for Kyrie Irving, he's a New Jersey kid, so he grew up as a Nets fan. This has been an organization that he has watched all throughout the course of his younger years, an opportunity. That's why New York is often tied to this, and New York and Brooklyn, him getting the opportunity to come back home. But he could be the guy surrounded by a young core that has already taken a lot of the responsibility and a lot of the pressure off. I think it's a group that has great chemistry, and so some of that leadership aspect has already been built. That foundation has been built. We've seen the growth out of D'Angelo Russell, the way in which he's matured, the way in which he's learned from the coaching staff, from the other veterans and the players around him. And I think Kyrie is a player that could look in that and say, I could be inserted into this offense. I could play off the ball, on the ball, but also a coach in Kenny Atkinson that can help me grow into the leader that I want to be, and be the guy.
Yeah, I think outside of LeBron, he would probably have more confidence in going to Brooklyn because they got a bunch of shooters. And the court would be totally spread, and he could be able to get to the hole, which he had a hard time doing in this last series.
And for what we've said about him in Boston and the younger players and in trying to bring them along, I think there's more of an embrace by those younger players where he still would be able to change the conversation, change the narrative about New York basketball, yet it being in Brooklyn rather than with the Knicks.
But he'd have to lead again. So we'd have to see if that's something he can or wants to do. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.